Jesus resting in the promised land. Only kind of music he could understand was a big 8-wheeler under his command. He made the freight train boogie all the time. Made the freight train boogie as it rolled down the line. Well, he woke up the people all along the line. Poor Lord had the man made the whistle whine. Said to the fireman, better hold your seat. I'm gonna make this rally do the boogie beat. Made the freight train boogie all the time. Made the freight train boogie as it rolled down the line. All right, roll it, Casey. Well, when that fireman started ringing the bell, everybody along the line could tell Casey Jones, he was a-coming to town. Big 8-wheeler that was burning the ground. He made a freight train boogie all the time. He made a freight train boogie as it rolled down the line. Made a freight train boogie all the time. Made a freight train boogie as I rolled down the line. He made a freight train boogie all the time. Made a freight train boogie as I rolled down the
And actually, even just that is kind of defining my week this week. So it has been a week of all the feels, lots of emotions. My oldest child graduated from high school on Friday. I had her when I was 2. And it's miracle birth, so everyone knows. And I couldn't be more excited for them and their journey. There's also this tenderness, so even just seeing the little ones, right? There's this tenderness around endings and beginnings, but really just being grateful for all of it. And of course, in the midst of all these emotions, there is a myriad of additional tasks and planning that have to happen to make sure all of the events move forward and smoothly and that everyone is taken care of in all of this. And apparently I have completely missed my calling as a cruise director. I think that might be like 4th career for me. But and then, you know, finding the joy in that. And of course there were a couple stressful moments, but really trying to lean into the joy. And this brought about a challenge for me too, which was to have a greater level of understanding and compassion that not only was I experiencing these emotions, but our entire family and even my child were experiencing these emotions and having to process them. So really tapping into that understanding and compassion. There were a lot of dynamics to navigate. Lots of history and conditioning, people taking things personally, behaviors. And I don't know if that's our agreement today, but it would be applicable. And I find myself in these times like overthinking and strategizing, right? And I received 2 pieces of advice this week that really helped me. One came before and one came after. But the first was to lean into life. And the second was to do something kind for myself. So when all of the stars aligned yesterday, that all of the events happened and everyone was on their way, and the opportunity came up for an Argentine tango lesson, I took it. Because I was being kind to myself. And maybe you can imagine, in Argentine tango, it is a partner dance, so there is a leader and a follower. And as you might have imagined, I might have a little bit of difficulty following, as I have a tendency to anticipate, like, what is the leader's next move going to be? Are we going right or left, front, back? Like, I have this all planned out in my head. And one of the teachers said to me, stop anticipating, right? It's not about what you think the leader is going to do, but it's about leaning in and feeling it. Close your eyes and feel into it. So again, that validation of leaning into life. And so I did. I allowed a closed hold, closed my eyes, and just danced. And there it was, that leaning into and surrendering into the present moment, which opened the channel for grace and joy to flow through me into this beautiful dance of life. And for that and the opportunity to practice it again and again and again, I am grateful. And we'll take that into a time of prayer. Holy Heart of the universe, may we come into this time and space with an open heart and an open mind. As we lean into this human experience with all the love and compassion in our hearts, our gratitude for this opportunity to experience the dance of life expands as we practice not only for ourselves, but for the benefit of all others. And so it is.
Well, one of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. You're gonna spread those wings and take to the sky. But till that morning, nothing can harm you. Mommy and Daddy, right by your side. Summertime, the living's easy. You know the words, come on. Fish are jumping. Come on, Renee, cotton's high. Your daddy's rich. Your mama's good looking. So hush, pretty baby, please don't you cry. Until that morning, you know nothing can harm you. Mommy and Daddy, right by your side. Mommy and Daddy, right by your side.
Paul's birthday's tomorrow, too. So So this is a good, look,
I got several
you
of them.
got 3 quotes. What in the world?
I'll just tell you my favorite.
All right. All right. So the idea of these cards, those of you who haven't been here, is I've asked you for your favorite quotes, and if you put your name on the card, then you have a chance to come up and read your favorite quote. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right here. So here it is.
I am fully open and am allowing and expressing the abundance of God's love, creativity, prosperity, and wisdom in my life. And so it is.
Amen. Amen.
I made that one up.
All right. That's it. Look at this card. Look at that. He didn't read anything on the card.
I did.
Now that's a prayer right there, right? That's a prayer right there. So I'll just read the first one though, because the first one Paul wrote is, a belief is just a belief, it doesn't make it true. Which fits really with what I talked with last week, right? Because we have this thing, our book of wisdom, our BS, our belief system. Where's your minds going with that? Your belief system, and that's from Dr. Wayne Dyer. A belief is just a belief, it doesn't make it true. All right? All right, I'm going to save these other ones. That's a good one. That's a good one to start. Thank you, Paul, and happy birthday tomorrow. All right. Which is a great segue because, like I said, last week that's what I talked about. I'm going to do this short series based on this book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Many people have heard of it, some of you have not. And so last week I talked about what he calls the dream of the planet. In other words, all the things that, all of our beliefs, all of the way things are, this is all just a dream. In other words, we've made it all up. And I gave some examples, like, for instance, the retirement system in the United States of America. It's just made up. It's just made up. It doesn't make it good, it doesn't make it bad, but it's made up. It's made up. The idea of time. Remember last week I gave you some quotes about time. If you're in a different country, time means different things. Time means different things. To me it means if I'm 10 minutes late, if I'm not 10 minutes early, I'm late. But not everyone has that same belief, because a belief is just a belief. It doesn't make it true. Right? So we have that, the book of law. And because it's a dream, because we've made it up, we can change it. That's the whole idea with these agreements, that we can change the agreements that we made about anything. All right? We can change the agreements. This is what the end of the chapter says. There are thousands of agreements that you have made with yourself and with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, with your children. But the most important agreements that you make are the ones you make with yourself. In these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how to behave. So, if you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, anybody? You have to find the courage to break those agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. See, this is what these agreements are about, is claiming your personal power. Not your power over anybody, not some power that someone's bestowing upon you from outside of yourself, but your own personal power that already exists. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So, the first agreement is this. Be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. He says this, Don Miguel. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Because your word is the power that you have to create. Through the word, you express your creative power, and it is through the word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through your word. And depending upon how it is used, the word can set you free, or it can enslave you even more than you know. That's what this agreement's about, the word. What he's saying is the words are powerful. The words are more than just words, in other words. They hold emotion, and they hold energy, and they hold creative power. That's what's possible with words. Words can build us up, or they can break us down. The old sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me just isn't true. It just isn't true. Words are power. Words are power. So, and his whole idea is that we develop a mind that is fertile for words that build us up, or fertile for words that break us down. That's our power. We can develop our minds in a way to accept the words that inspire us and to reject the words that want to tear us down. So as I was thinking about this topic, I was reminded of a story of my very favorite actress, and I'm not a big movie person by any means, but I would marry this person if I wasn't married to Renee. She wouldn't marry me. She's already married. She has a husband. She has kids. You know, it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, I just love her. I think she is just a genuine and amazing person. It's recorded now. It'll be on the internet, Meryl Streep. You might see it. But I love Meryl Streep. I love Meryl Streep. And there's a story that she relays in an interview some years ago, early 2000s maybe, where she's going to an audition for the King Kong movie. It was in 1976 that movie was made, or when she went to the interview, around then. And she went in, the son of the director, the producer, director person, brought her in, found this new actress. He was like, you got Dad, you got to give this gal a chance. She's fabulous. So the son's sitting there, the father's sitting at his desk, Meryl Streep walks in, and the father says to the son in Italian, "Why do you bring me this ugly thing?" All right, in Italian. Unbeknownst to him, that Streep speaks Italian. So she's heard exactly what he said. And she said in the interview, as they're sitting there, she says it was a very sobering thing to hear as a young girl. It was a very sobering thing to hear as a young girl. And she said back to him in Italian, "I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry I'm not beautiful enough to be in King Kong." Well, you might know Streep has won 3 Academy Awards, 2 BAFTA Awards, 9 Golden Globe Awards, 3 Emmys, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, as well as 7 Grammy nominations and 1 Tony Award nominations. Total, she has been nominated in different places for different things at different times 408 times, and she has won 205 different awards. Incredible. Did it all happen overnight? What about those words? Were they hurtful? Yes, she admitted even in that interview they were very sobering. How many years later when she did that interview? Which was many. It reminded me too of the power of words to lift up. When I was 32, I quit my job, I worked part-time, and I went to graduate school. I went back to school. I wanted to study environmental science and policy at George Mason University. And that's what I did. I applied and I got in. I had to take 1 ecology course to get in because I didn't have in my resume. And the second semester I was there, Dr. Fran Heliotis said to me, "I want you to take this course, Paula. It's called biogeochemistry." I'm like, "What? Biogeochemistry?" I said, "Fran, look at the requirements. So many hours of physics, so many hours of chemistry, so many hours of biology. I don't have any of it. None. I had none of the prerequisites to take biogeochemistry." You know what he said to me? "You can do it." He was great. "You can do it, Paula. You can do it." He was so positive. He was so positive, and so I did it. It was powerful. It was a powerful thing. It was a powerful thing. Back in the early 2000s, I was traveling out to California to study to be a life coach, and with the NLP Institute there, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And I traveled out 2 or 3, I think 3 different times for a week's worth of studies and interactions with the group. And I think I was the only person in the group without any NLP experience. Like, because I just decided, hey, I think I can be a life coach. Like, where did that come from? Well, that's a different story. But so I'm out there, and one of the exercises we went through is, do you just, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you deserve to be a great life coach? I was like, I'm thinking 7.5, maybe 8. And the question was, why isn't it a 10? Why isn't it a 10? In other words, looking back on it, I can say, what words were planted in me that I could not accept for myself being a great life coach? Why not? Why not? Interesting, isn't it? Fast forward to the first year that Soul Center became an organization. It was 7 years ago. And we used to meet over at the Unitarian Church on Lake Avenue. And Reverend Cheryl Walker was there, and she was a very gracious host for having us there. We got to know each other a little bit. She said, Paula, you should join us with the Ministerial Roundtable. We meet on a certain day once a month for lunch. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then I thought, well, I'm not a real minister. Why would I show up there? Never mind, I had a church in Durham. Before that, there was something in me. There was something planted in my mind that was not fertile for love and acceptance. The way it was being presented to me, it wasn't fertile. I couldn't accept that. And so I didn't show up for any of the lunches until a couple years ago when Reverend John McLaughlin with St. Jude's Metropolitan Community Church invited me again. And I thought, maybe I am a minister. Maybe I do deserve to be part of this group. You see how that is? The mind is either fertile or not fertile for those things. And those are some examples of what Ruiz is talking about with this agreement. What it means to be impeccable with your word. Let me read what he says. He says, impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. And the im in impeccable means without. So impeccable means to be without sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. That's what sin is. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything, when you feel guilt or shame or revenge or unforgiveness. Being without sin is the opposite of that. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self-rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. Ouch! Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening when we're not impeccable with our word. When we don't speak to ourselves in a way that is loving and kind, that is against ourselves. We've got to stop using the word against ourselves. One more time before I go on. Here's what's happened. It's happened to me and it's happened to you. For years we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our words with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we're saying things like, oh, I look fat. I look ugly. I'm getting old. I'm losing my hair. I'm stupid. I never understand anything. I will never be good and I'm never going to be perfect. Do you see how we use the word against ourselves? We must begin to understand that what the word is and what the word does. And what it does is obvious, isn't it? It's obvious. So we have to notice our words. We have to notice our words. We have to become aware of the language we have toward ourselves. Because some of it comes out of our mouth before we even know what it is. I've shared with you before one of my favorites that I've worked a lot on. And that is www.me. Right? What's wrong with me? Because that would be the first thing. I would do something and it wouldn't come out exactly right. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm like, why am I telling myself that? Like I am sinning. I am not being impeccable with my word when I do that. I'm making my mind fertile for all the poison and what Ruiz calls the black magic that everybody else is going to throw at me. I'm starting it by creating the ground that is fertile for the words that are not useful to me. We have to notice the words that are based in fear and judgment. Words that create an enemy, them and me. It's always easy for them, it's hard for me. I'll never have what they have. They have this, they have the job, they have the car, they have the family, they have this. You know what that's saying to you? You're a loser. I'm a loser. I'll never have that. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. When we get into the us and them or me and them role, that's a good indicator that we are not being impeccable with our word toward ourselves. Toward ourselves. That's what we're telling us. Me for me and you for you. He says we have to make new agreements. We have to make new agreements. And we start this by practicing to love ourselves. Noticing those words and switching them up. I've started switching that up. For instance, I now know I can be an excellent life coach. I know I can be that. I can be a 10. Right? I can be a 10. Yeah, thanks. Woo! Rachel says, yes, I can be a 10. You know, I did pass biogeochemistry. I graduated from my master's program with a GPA of 3.8. I mean, you know, yeah. When Fran planted that word, at least I could believe him a little bit. At least I could believe. And now I'm actually part of the executive committee for Faith Leaders United. You know, so, but it's taken time, right? These things take time. It didn't happen just yesterday. Let me tell you how Streep got through it. I got another quote from Streep. Where's my notes here? Here's what she said. My daughters, okay, so this is how many years later. She's going in 1976 to an audition. She says this, my daughters had helped me to stop worrying about my appearance over the years. Over the years, she stopped worrying about her appearance. Over the years. I wasted so many years thinking I wasn't pretty enough. And why didn't I have Jessica Lange's body? Or someone else's legs? What a waste of time. Meryl Streep, love of my life. She says, the minute you start caring about what other people think is the minute you stop being yourself. Right? Loving yourself first. Her daughters, they didn't do that when they were 2 or 3, so it's been years that she has gone through this amazing career that we see from the outside, holding this thought in her mind that she's not pretty enough. That Jessica Lange, who ended up being in King Kong, was so much prettier because she got picked for the role. Right? We've got to start loving ourselves. We have to have a new agreement. We have to tell ourselves, I am wonderful the way I am. I'm strong, I am fearless, I am kind, I am deserving. We can tell ourselves, you can do it. You can do it. Right? You can do it. A couple weeks ago, I think somebody had a quote up here that says, you get rid of the what I can't do's and you do the can do's. I can do it. That's where you start. That's the practice. Because when we do that, we are beginning to make our mind fertile for the receiving of love. For the receiving of the truth of our own self. That's where the power is. We have the power to make our minds fertile for that. Yes, yes, and yes. There's one more thing I wanted to share in here. Here's what Ruiz says. You can measure the impeccability of your word by the level of self-love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy, and at peace. That's how you know That's how you know. Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom and to huge success and abundance. And it can take away all fear and transform it into joy and love. And it's all possible, not from anybody else, not even from taking a course. You might read the book if you're interested. Just be impeccable with your word. Don't sin against yourself. There's one other thing that he covers in this chapter that I think is worth mentioning, and that is when we use words to gossip and judge others, those are also poison. And they're not poison to the other person because they are coming from you and me. They are poison with you, for you and me. If I am flinging a poison dart arrow, there must be a source in me. And so the gossiping and the judgment also is an indicator of the impeccability of your word. The impeccability of my word. What I want to tell somebody else. Okay? Gossiping, he covers uses a few pages just to cover gossiping. Just to cover that. Talking about others in a way that he calls as black magic is poisoning. That poisons my fertile mind as well. All right? So stop it. Just stop it. Just stop gossiping. With the impeccability of the word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a different life. I mean, you can live in heaven in the middle of 1,000 people living in hell because you are immune to that hell. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. There it is. So let's take that into meditation. I encourage you to get comfortable in your chair and to sit for a minute. Please realize that to look at our lives and to recognize that I said a 7.5 instead of a 10, or I didn't deserve this at one time, we are not to judge ourselves. It's simply information. The judgment is poison as well. Anything we speak against ourselves is sin. It's the error. And to be impeccable is to refuse to do that. To not speak the word against my own self. To create a mind that is fertile for love. For acceptance. And by the way, to accept responsibility for my actions, but to release the judgment. To create the space in me to receive the love that I already am. So let's sit for just a few moments together. and receive these words from young Pueblo. She believed that the damage to her mind and heart was permanent until she met wisdom, who taught her that no pain or wound is eternal, that all can be healed, and that love can grow even in the toughest parts of her being. Amen.
Well, I'm going down the road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad, good Lord. I'm not gonna be treated this way. Well, I'm going where the water tastes like wine. Where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. Good Lord, ain't gonna be treated this way. Well, these $2 shoes, they hurt my feet. $2 shoes, they hurt my feet. $2 shoes, they hurt my feet. I'm not gonna treat myself this way. Well, I want me a job with an honest wage. Want me a job with an honest wage. I want me a job with an honest wage. Good Lord, ain't gonna be treated this way. Okay, everybody now. Yeah, I'm going down the road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad. Good Lord, ain't gonna be treated this way. Well, my children need 3 squares a day. My children need 3 squares a day. My children need 3 squares a day. Good Lord, ain't gonna be treated this way. I want $10 shoes to shoe my feet. $10 shoes to shoe my feet. I want some $10 shoes to shoe my feet. Yeah, I ain't gonna be treated this way. Well, I want me a world where love prevails. Want me a world where love prevails. Want me a world where love prevails, good Lord. 'Cause everybody knows that hate don't work. And I'm going down the road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad, good Lord. Ain't gonna be treated this way. Ain't gonna be treated. Ain't gonna be treated. Ain't gonna treat myself that way. Ain't gonna be treated. Ain't gonna be treated. Ain't gonna treat myself that way.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. That was so beautiful. Thank you.